Hello and welcome to the complete course of AWS SageMaker. In this session, we'll see how to do a logistic regression. Now, what are we going to do it? We first of all will do the exploratory data analysis. Once the exploratory data analysis will be done, then we are uploading the data into an S3 bucket and then pull the data from an S3 bucket into a SageMaker instance. For training the model, we need to pull the pre-built algorithm from the ECR container, and once we'll define the Docker image which we need to pull in, we will create an estimator to fit the model to get trained. Once the model is trained, then we need to deploy the model, right? So it's a quick session, so because we have already gone through in details how the linear regression works, so I'll just go through it how we can work it in a logistic regression as well. Then we have our diabetic.csv. Here if you'll see in diabetic.csv, we have a few of the independent variable and the target variable is diabetic class or not. So based on this independent feature, we can predict whether the particular patient would have a diabetes or not, right? That is what we need to predict. So once that is done, so this is a small data set. We are trying to build the value count, which says that okay, there are 500 patients who don't have the diabetes. However, 268 patients have a diabetes. If we'll do the describe part, here in each independent variables as well as a target variable would be having a statistical figures. Here we can say that a glucose concentrations is having a mean value of 120, standard deviation 31.97, minimum value 0, and we have a quantile of 25%, 50% and 75%, right? So now we'll do the missing value imputation. We'll see do we have any missing value. Fortunately, in this particular data set we don't have missing values. Now if we'll plot a historical graph, then we can see a glucose concentration and we can see that it is normally distributed. We also plot the same for age block. We can see that from the age 20 to 30 there are a lot of people who's having a diabetes, and however if we go down, people would not be having that much diabetes. Now if we look what we are doing it, we are creating a two data set. One is a diabetic data set and one is for the normal patients. So for diabetic data set, we'll say if the class is equal to 1, then it will come as a diabetic data frame, and if it is 0, then it will normal, so that we can do the analysis, right? Now if we'll create an analysis of age and diabetes, we can see from this that across all the age till 50-55 or till 45, all people would be having a diabetes. However, if we'll go down after 45, there are less patients who's having a diabetes, right? Similarly, we can do an inference of a normal people. So we can see that from 20 to 30 we are having a normal people, and after that we can see there are less normal people and there are more of diabetic patients. So here now we can see the glucose concentration and the diabetes. So here we can say as a glucose concentration increases, my diabetes patient will also get increased, right? Similarly, we have this one with the glucose concentration and a normal, and you can inference it by looking it into the plot chart. Now what are we going to do it? We can, what it does, it removes the last column, and my last column was a target. So this one is an X and this one is a Y. So Y, if you'll see over here, the Y includes only the last column, right? So this is X and Y. Now in this what we'll do it, we have an X, we have an Y, and now we will split it by using a sklearn model selection by using a train test split. So we are splitting a data 80-20. Yeah. Similarly, now what are we going to do it? We'll join the independent variable with a target variable. That's why this join is there. So now if you see, we have a diabetic class, right? Similarly, for the test data set also we have a diabetic class. Now as we know that a SageMaker expect my target variable at a first position, so that's why we have just place the column at first column as a target variable followed by the independent variable, and then do it in a similar way the way we have done it in a linear regression. So here you can see my diabetic class, and this diabetic class comes in the first column. Similarly for the test data set. However, in test data set you can see we don't have a diabetic class because that will we need to predict it, right? And now my next step would be to save this clean data into a local SageMaker instance into a CSV format. So that's the reason I have just saved it into a train.csv, and yeah, and even the test data set, right? So in our next lecture we'll see how do we train and deploy the model in a SageMaker. Thank you.